Hi, it's Catherine Bird here, and I wanted to pop on this week to just chat a little bit about our spiritual teachers, healers, practitioners, how we're choosing those people, and some of the things that we want to have in consideration. If there's something that I have learned and keep getting a lesson around, is that just because someone has a great Instagram, has a lot of followers, runs a great ceremony, has a lot of personal power, information, intelligence, a great platform, a lot of whatever, looks good in their photos, has a great catchphrase. It doesn't actually mean that they are being a good person or encouraging their people to be better people through the process of working with them, or is coaching people into higher alignment with higher ethics and higher values, or is holding themselves to higher ethics or have higher values of kindness, compassion, consideration, inclusiveness, supporting people, planet, minorities, people who are marginalized, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There is a lot of spiritual narcissism out there. There's a lot of people who are actually causing harm unintentionally, I will say. We'll say unintentionally. I hear so many stories of people from medicine work, ceremony communities, from different kinds of spiritual communities, really stories that are quite horrible, because we enter into these communities so often to find our sense of home, our sense of place, our sense of belonging, to find healing, to find support, to find love, to find connection, community, all of these things. And so often we're re-traumatized, we're hurt, we're damaged, we're not encouraged to find the parts of us that are living in places of privilege, in places of unexamined privilege, to live in places of unexamined ways that we might be harming others in our way of being in the world. And this is coming up because I was tuning to someone's, I was just flipping through Instagram, as we do, and I came across someone's meme, and it talked about women and witches and personal power. And this woman, Angela Sumner, she basically, it seemed quite great, but then when I read her text, it was basically saying that she wasn't going to give up her idea or view that basically trans people are stealing her womb power by just being who they are. And this woman has a lot of followers, and this isn't the first thing I've seen. Maybe you've been seeing it too, but people really preaching things that are harming people, and they're supposed to be our spiritual leaders and guides. And I just really feel so much for the people maybe who are trans, who've been following this woman, or who, don't know, and then to get this blow of, you're not worthy of my love, you're not worthy of inclusion in my community because you are who you are. And that could lead someone down a really dark path. It could lead someone to kill themselves. It could lead someone to a lot of self-hatred in a community that already has a lot of those issues of self-hatred, of suicide, of being hurt by others. And now here's another community where we're supposed to be being inclusive and loving and kind, who is calling out someone for just living their life and not harming anyone. And then within that, it really brings up all of the things that I'm seeing from these different spiritual people who are bypassing personal responsibility, who are not looking at their own privilege of being white, of being beautiful, of being intelligent, of being middle class or upper class, of having access to information, to healing, to things to boost their immune system, to good food, to organic food, to information, to medicines, to healers, to spiritual concepts. Like all of these things are privilege. And so as we step into this, it's important to always remember that these things are privileged, and these things are setting us apart, and that there are a lot of people who can't afford to eat, they can't afford their rent, they can't afford to spend time seeking this path, that haven't been exposed to these things, and that we must care for the marginalized in our communities. Like that is a sign of being ethical and spiritually more mature, honestly, that we care about these things. And so many spiritual leaders, healers, et cetera, I have been seeing being completely disengaged from this, from justifying their own selfishness and narcissism and behaviors of hatred and bigotry and not caring, apathy. And this is not helping. And it's not helping you if you are a follower, because you are basically tuning to this person's field and they are affecting you. They are transmitting to you. They're energetic when you work with them. Now, in traditions, you would have lineages, and you would know that someone is sound and ethical and on the path in the right way, because they would have been trained, initiated, worked with extensively with their teacher, and you would be able to reflect who their teacher is and know who their teacher is over a lifetime. And you would know that they had received that, and they had gotten to the place that they had gotten in an aligned way. And even so, with all of that, there's still, charlatans and people who are harming people. And now we, for the most part, have really taken that away, where there are a lot of people out there who are spiritual teachers, guides, healers, people who are offering a lot of advice and coaching, who actually have no mentorship, who are, only spirit led. But what are they connecting to as spirit? We can all connect to spirits, and there's a lot of influencing energies out there that are both positive and negative, that are beneficial and not beneficial. There's a lot of people with unprocessed trauma who have found a connection to bypass their trauma and their physical body and their groundedness and grounded ability to think in the current experience of life and be grounded in life, who have found through ceremonies and meditation and practices and different things that they can really bypass all of that and reach this blissful state, connecting to guides and beings. But they are still carrying so much woundedness and trauma, so many beliefs that aren't helpful, because they haven't done that self-inquiry work really. And then because they've had some experiences, then all of a sudden now they're a spiritual teacher, and then they don't have a mentor, and they don't have an ethical compass that is holding them to something of a higher alignment. They're not doing values inquiry work and looking at, like, what do they really value, and who are they in the world, and how does the world going to be better by them being in it? And instead, it's really about feeding themselves, and feeding themselves off of you, off of your time, your attention, your money, your energy. And it is easy to fall for this stuff, because this is, they have power and energy and charisma and all of these things. But just to be aware, right, that no matter what someone looks like, no matter how good their practices look like, no matter if they can lead you into a very deep place, if they're not anchored into an ethical standpoint, and they're not calling themselves out, and they don't have mentors and guides that you can look up, that you can see where they're coming from, that you can understand, what their teachers are and their lineages are, that these things are red flags. If they're not being inclusive, that's a red flag. And it's okay if we have biases. We all have biases. It's okay if we have prejudice. We all have prejudice. Like, that's part of who we are because they've been taught to us. They're so ingrained in our systems, in our societies, in our families. But a real teacher will help you. A real teacher won't give you an excuse to be hate-filled towards other people who aren't in any way harming you. There's no way that they're harming you. They will help you to understand where these beliefs came from, where these biases came from, and help you to open your mind and open your heart to be a more compassionate, open, forgiving, understanding person, to look at your fears and your anger and your misunderstanding about others and help you to unpack that stuff, not to give you an excuse to just do it more. Because that's where we're going to grow, is when we see, wow, yeah, I really don't understand those people. I don't understand trans people. Like, that is scary to me. I'm scared of it. I don't understand it. I'm afraid it's going to hurt me or harm me or my family in some way. And to be like, okay, like, that's a real thing. It's okay to have that. It really is. And then it's okay to unpack that and go, okay, well, where does that come from? And how could I open myself to something new within me, like a new awareness, a new understanding, a new openness towards others? And if I feel like I have fear because I have trauma from my past, something bad happened to me, or I'm afraid of this group of people because I've had an experience, or something from my past has told me that that's not okay, then hopefully the person that you're with is going to help you to unpack that, to understand it, to work the energy and release and remove the trauma so that you no longer have a charge. Because when you're super charged up about other people, then your energy is stuck in that. You're triggered, and you're possibly going to act out in a harmful way. And it's not giving you the opportunity to grow. So, we're all in this together, and all of us are looking for healing, for community, for love, support, kindness. And so if your spiritual teacher is not in that field, you might want to look someplace else, because it's giving you an excuse not to do that and not to be that. And if they don't have mentors and teachers that are calling them out, then that's a problem. I have prejudice and bias, and I have like, this is pissing me off. And I also have very grounded teachers. I have a Taoist Sifu, I have Tibetan Lama, and who will speak directly to me about being compassionate, kind, open, forgiving, loving, changing who I am, changing the frequency of who I am to be a better person. And they're going to call me out and hold me accountable for getting into my own spiraling triggers, for getting into my own stuff that's pulling my energy down, that's compressing and contracting me, for all of the things that hopefully we are moving through and working through. And for looking at the places that I need to work on my own self and heal myself, and to stand up for myself and for others, for my community, and that's what I see as really important right now, is that we stand up for each other, that we stand up for the marginalized, we stand up for people who don't have as big of a voice as we do because we're privileged. And this feels really important right now. And so, I don't know, I sort of talked in a lot of circles here, maybe, but I hope that what you're getting out of this is that it's really important to look at people underneath the surface, that um, it's it's kind of easy to manipulate people. It's kind of easy to use our personal power to digest other people's energy and to take from them. It's kind of easy to create a platform based on empowerment or making money or being a badass or whatever. It's kind of easy to do that because people are yearning for those things, right? They want abundance of money. They want to feel bold and activated and powerful. And if that's at the expense of others, if it's at the expense of being kind, if it's at the expense of taking care of your community, and your community isn't just the people who come to you, the community is everybody, then you might want to keep looking, because typically at some point, those people are going to, if they can, they're not going to care if they're damaging or harming you. They're really not. We often join communities because we all hate the same other people, right? Like, look at all of these communities out there where we're like, well, yeah, we're this community and we don't like you guys because you guys believe these things, or you look this way, or you come from this place, or this whatever. So this is our community. Our community is actually based on division and hatred. That is an old way of being. And we're hopefully cultivating something new, where the reason that we're in community together is to build something beautiful, and not just as we're building something based on the hatred of others. We're seeing that way too much right now, and it's really harmful. And I want you, if you're watching this, to love yourself so much that you're willing to really explore the people that you are working with, training with, receiving healing work from. What are their values? What do they believe? What are they calling in? What are the energies that they're working with? Are they truly working with higher level energies? Or are they wrapped up in a bunch of superstition? Are they wrapped up in a bunch of dogma? Are they wrapped up in a bunch of right and wrong inside of what you're doing, so that you can only follow them and they have the answer and they're the only one who has the answer? These are all signs that maybe this person isn't a great person to follow and give your attention and energy toward. We all want love. We all want the community, our spiritual community. Be really careful out there. I know so many people have gotten involved in cults, in ceremonial circles where they get damaged, in masterminds where they are disrespected and hurt, in trainings where they are diminished and not uplifted. I've been there. I've seen it for myself. I've seen it in others, in communities I've been a part of. I've made excuses for practitioners who've been that way. I've made excuses for people because they were my friend who have hurt other people. I have made excuses for people. And I'm calling myself out in that, of being involved in harm making. And so I have to keep looking at myself and looking at what I stand for. And we're all evolving and growing and hopefully doing that, and making amends and doing the right thing and choosing to not support people who are harming others, even if it doesn't affect us and we're not the person being harmed, we're still involved in that. We're still complacent in harm causing. And there's a lot of us who are being really complacent with harm causing in this world. And so I'm wishing you all the best. This is a very tricky, sticky place, that you find the communities, the healers, the leaders that you are able to really rest into, to find that refuge from the world in a higher place, and not a higher frequency that's a bunch of spiritual nonsense, because it's all about dress and show and likes and all the things. But it's about a real core essence of ethical truth and alignment with the higher values that you are striving toward. And you don't have to be perfect in order to strive towards higher values. We're all doing the best we can right now, hopefully, and we're all going to evolve and grow, I'm assuming. So I just wish you all the best. If you've experienced this, if you've been hurt, if you're feeling heartbroken, I really feel you. I'm with you in those spaces where we're seeking healing, we're seeking connection, we're seeking community, and we end up feeling heartbroken and hurt. And if I've ever been involved in anything that might have harmed you in any way, or anyone at all, I sincerely apologize for my part in that, and honor you and your path, and honor myself and my own path, and calling myself out and holding myself to higher and higher and higher standards, and hopefully doing the right thing more and more every single day, and being a greater, more positive, beneficial contribution to the planet. And wishing you many blessings at this very turbulent time. And please stay safe, and much love to you.